It's been an extraordinary day here at the General Assembly of the African University Sports Federation. And it only stops at appreciating a man who has given 8 years of his time on planet Earth to the functions and the success of African university sports. I have with me Dr. Micheal Malumbete, and it's been a pleasure for you, for us as students, and going out of being students of university sports in Africa, to have seen the work you have done. First of all, I want to say very big congratulations for your time. Now, can you give us your best highlights of the last 8 years?
Wow. I think greetings to you and all your viewers. For me, as Dr. Malumbete Ralethe, it's very difficult to try and pinpoint one thing. Of course, you should understand that today, when I was given the honor of being the Honorary President of FASU, that means so much to me, because when people you have served at the end of your term, they come together and say that we want to still attach our name to you as a person. That's really an honor. I have many beautiful memories of the. In fact, it's not only the past. It's only the past 8 years I was president, but 6 more years. I mean, 6 more years before then I was first vice president. You know, so it's been a great journey for me. And if we have to talk about the highlights. When I was elected, that's why today I'm wearing this jacket, this shirt, because in 2010 we held our elections in Kampala at Munyonyo. That's where I was elected for the first time. It was very hectic. There was a lot of fighting between different groups, and in the context of Africa, would say even between the Anglo and Francophone countries. But I think this whole 4 days we have spent here, what we saw was, as our slogan says, that we are Africa, nous sommes l'Afrique, one Africa. And I think that even the results of the elections show that people were voting from a one Africa situation. So, of all the things that we could have achieved, I think for me, the fact that we have gotten people in the university sports movement to start looking at each other as brothers and sisters with the same goal and interest to make sure that Africa shines amongst other continents within the bigger global stage of university sport under the helm of FASU, and we're very grateful because we're very grateful for what I consider a highlight too, that for all the years we've been working with FASU as members of FASU, to have the president of FASU coming to Africa to FASU events. In the last 3 years, he has come 3 times. We are very honored. And as part of my presidency, then I believe that that would be part of the highlight. But to obviously take the work of this organization to grow our membership. I remember when we were elected, we were still around perhaps 20 members, and now 8 years later, we have doubled the numbers. We have reached 40. That should say something. And not only in terms of numbers, because it's also the quality of the membership, as well as the the compliance levels, because membership is not just to say I'm an African country, therefore, So these things, and to top it all, honestly, we have seen a lot of African athletes doing so much on the international stage. But it's not only in athletes, people like yourselves, a lot of young students from our continent who have been able to be on the FASU programs, and they continue to make wonders. You saw Asha yesterday, who is on BBC, she's on Supersport and all these other mediums, and yourself, you're very, very active. Recently, when we were in Russia, in Krasnoyarsk, FASU acknowledged the fact that from the last group of volunteers last year, the people that are still very active on the platforms of FASU, promoting FASU and their continental or national university sports federation, it's actually Africans, a young student in Namibia, and of course the young man from here in Uganda, who is Henry Nsekui, who was the vice chairperson of our student committee. And how do we have a student committee? As Africa, we've taken steps that no other continental body has been able to legislate around the inclusion of students in the direct elections. Our other counterparts around the world, they've got students, mostly appointed students or in subcommittees, whatever. We're the first organization to indicate that there will be a student in a continental executive committee directly elected. And this we must note as part of, because how do you do university sport and exclude students? We go by that notion which says nothing for us without us. And I think the most important one, I think or maybe there's no other international federation that will claim, like we can make this claim today, that during our time of engagement, we have made people to be aware that it's important to look at the quality of an individual, such that today we return the first ever woman president of this organization, but the first ever woman president of any continental university sports federation around the whole world. But that's not the thing. She's leading with the secretary. So those are the highlights within the period of my presidency I could indicate.
I was going to come to that because it's important, it's imperative. We know that leadership in Africa is a thing of when I am leaving, who is coming after me. For you to have openly, shown support for whoever gets after you, there was no favoritism. How much of an influence do you think the women who have been elected, that is as president, NOMSA, and as general secretary, how much of an influence do you think this will have on the body that is African University Sports Federation?
I think recently in Krasnoyarsk, we had a gender equality roundtable. And one of the things that I spoke to, by the way, throughout my life, I have been an activist for students in university sport, as well as an activist for women. Even at FASU, they know me about these views. So for years, I have spoken even to my colleagues within the FASU executive and any other platform I've been able to speak at, to simply say that certain things we have to legislate, like the election of a student into the committee. At times, even the inclusion of women, you must legislate for that to happen, so that eventually the natural process, just like the president said yesterday during her presentation, that we come from a country where we have had to say that I benefited as a student leader back in the day, that the constitution of our university was saying that the president must be a student. That's how in 1995 to 2000, I was the president of my National University Sports Federation. And at the same time, we then also moved further and said that there must be so many students in the committee to allow for representation of both students and administrators. But then what happened is that today, we no longer talk about the minimum of how many students and how many. It just happens so naturally that more students are in the executive than administrators now. Then the second part was always for us to be talking about women empowerment. And that has led to a situation whereby I have been in my country under 2 women presidents of our University Sports Federation. So moving forward, so the choice of, when these nominations came up and it was clear that I was not going to be available to stand again, then it was an immediate choice to say that Nomsa Mahlangu must be our nominee as a country for presidency. I've worked with her for so many years. And fortunately, I have worked with Madame Penina Kabenge also for so many years, since 2006. And we have also been in the FASU executive together. So I know both women, and I'm telling you now that the world better watch out. All continental organizations better watch out, because FASU is coming, and it's coming in a big way, led by 2 very capable women.